If you watch wrestling back in 1997, chances are you'll watch this videotape, because Stone Cold Said So was one of those videos that everyone wanted to see, and that was because of two things: Steve Austin's incredible rise in popularity, and the WWF heavily promoting the video on TV in every market possible. Here in the UK, this video was advertised a lot on weekly television, and I can see it was also heavily promoted on US shows thanks to the WWE Network. And let me tell you something, brother, everyone wanted to see this video because everyone loves Stone Cold Steve Austin. I talked about my friend who would make me copies of VHS wrestling tapes. That boy was a WWF VHS collector through and through. Well, he had to make about 10 copies of Cause Stone Cold Said So for other folks we knew because the tape was in demand so much. The original VHS cover, I feel, helped a lot. It's the famous photo of Austin's face at WrestleMania XIII, but this cover was also changed due to complaints, I'd assume, or because they wanted to put more copies on store shelves. The second version isn't half as good, is it? In the UK, the Mania 13 cover was only available during the initial Silvervision mail order run when the tape first got released, and if you have this video right now in your collection with this cover, well, you'll make yourself a little money if you decide to sell it. There's a third version too, this one here with Stone Cold Skull on the cover, so you can just tell the tape was popular after going through 3 separate prints. It's been a long time since I've watched this, and seeing as the whole era's been covered on Reliving the War, I thought it would be good to go back and take a look at the video. These tapes can be quite messy. You usually get loads of random clips mashed together with stock music and a lack of coherence in terms of timeline. See the D-Generation X 1998 video for an example, but sometimes they get it right and the video ends up pretty decent. Let me make something clear though, back then we did not care about coherence. All we wanted to see was our favourite superstars doing their thing, and if I remember correctly, cause Stone Cold Said So delivers on that front. So let's check it out in today's video. This is the WWE re-release of the original tape that was put on DVD. It's the best quality I could find online.
I think everybody out there knows my name is Stone Cold Steve Austin. And out of this video, if you're looking for someone running around dancing to a bunch of sparklers and music, you bought the wrong damn video. What you are gonna see is my favorite picks, some of the action from some of the hottest matches I've been in, rare interviews, and a lot of violence and some language problems. So if that offends you, you might as well push the stop button right now.
What an intro. Nothing beats Stone Cold trash talking, and it happens at the very start of the tape, so already it's a massive thumbs up. Austin says he always gets stopped by dumbasses at the airport wondering what Austin 316 means, so Stone Cold tells us to pay close attention and we're going to find out exactly what it means. We cut over to the 1996 King of the Ring pay-per-view and Austin's going to narrate over the match clips we see throughout the whole video. It's not a full-blown new commentary track, it's just little tidbits from Stone Cold to enhance your viewing pleasure. Austin says there were no Stone Cold signs at the King of the Ring. The fans wanted to cheer for wrestlers with sparklers and fireworks, but Stone Cold didn't care. He walked into King of the Ring on his own and he won the tournament on his own. We see footage of Austin's semi-final match against Mark Merrow, and every now and then Austin's going to cut in to correct Vince McMahon's commentary, explaining why he did certain things in the most Stone Cold way possible. Austin explains that he ended up with 18 stitches after this match, but his own blood tasted pretty good on this night. And then we go to the King of the Ring final, where Austin says he wasn't about to feel sorry for Jake Roberts and his injured little ribs. Austin wins the King of the Ring. He explains again that none of the fans cared about him, and we see the famous Austin 316 promo. We cut back to the studio and Austin's getting pissed off at a producer trying to count him down to the next segment. Austin threatens to open up a can of whoop ass, and yeah, this is all definitely a product of its time, but it still holds up well because Stone Cold's just so entertaining. I love this 1997 version of Austin. He's a badass, but he's also quite funny. The next part of the video is dedicated to Steve Austin being a menace away from the ring. Most of the footage was aired on TV, so there's nothing new here, although we do get to see some clips from WWF Livewire. In the UK and Ireland, we didn't get the same Livewire as you folks in the United States. Our version was a Saturday morning recap show that had matches from Raw. It was very kid friendly. It was hosted by Doc Hendricks during this era, and it wasn't great. The US version looked a whole lot better with the studio interviews and folks calling in. I really do wish these episodes would get uploaded to the WWE Network, but anyway, back to Stone Cold. There's some funny moments here, like Austin talking to the cops outside Raw and Austin talking trash to Gorilla Monsoon. After this, we get a short history lesson from the Rattlesnake, and we also see footage of Austin in ECW. Stone Cold says we're going to hear some comments he made before an ECW ladder match, and we're also going to see his impression of the, and I quote, biggest piece of trash Austin ever laid his eyes on. It's Hulk Hogan, by the way. We see Austin climbing the ladder, and he says he didn't get to climb to the top of the WCW ladder like this. He then makes disparaging comments towards women, and he says she married a midget. And then we see Steve Mania running wild in ECW. Austin says he was never allowed to pass mid-card status in World Championship Wrestling. He's now said his prayers and taken his vitamins, and then he comes to the realization that this lame garbage isn't going to get him over in ECW. It wouldn't work anywhere. We also see Steve Austin doing his best Eric Bischoff impersonation, but this is only a very brief clip, unfortunately. Stone Cold then says he lost some friends on his journey to superstardom, and one of those friends was his old tag team partner, Brian Pillman. Austin explains that the reason he attacked Brian was because he wouldn't shut up about Bret Hart, and he turned every promo into a shrine for the Hitman. So Austin really had no choice. Footage of the infamous Pillmanizing segment from WWF Superstars is then shown, but keep in mind too that these are all highlights and not full segments. They're trying to squeeze what they can into the 60-minute runtime. Next up, Steve Austin explains exactly what a can of whoop ass is through a series of highlight videos. It's basically Austin beating the hell out of superstars like Bret Hart, The Undertaker, Mankind, and the illustrious Rockabilly. The 1997 Royal Rumble's up next, and Stone Cold adds his own commentary as we see the Rattlesnake throw other superstars over the top rope. And then Austin explains that he won the Royal Rumble fair and square, but he got ripped off by Gorilla Monsoon. There's some insane Eurodance music playing in the background, and it really doesn't suit the presentation at all. Have a listen.
And what does Gorilla Monsoon say? Oh, Steve, all of a sudden we got the instant replay rule. You didn't win the Royal Rumble after all, so...
We cut over to the Raw after the Royal Rumble. Stone Cold says he has a bunch of bananas for Gorilla, and he's going to tell Monsoon where to stick each and every one of them. And then we hear that classic line, "You call yourself the Gorilla, yet you hee-haw out here like a jackass." Still one of my favourite Austin lines. What's great about this part too is the fact that Austin totally kayfabes his Rumble victory. There's no mention of Bret eliminating him, and Stone Cold puts it across like a great injustice was done in San Antonio that night. The video then focuses on the Bret Hart rivalry. Austin calls Bret's victory at Survivor Series a fluke, and then the main portion of the VHS is taken up with the excellent submission match from WrestleMania 13. Around 10 minutes of the WrestleMania 13 match gets shown here, including Austin's entrance. The match is heavily edited, but most of the high spots remain intact. Honestly, you don't want this to be the only way you ever see this submission match, and I'm sure for many people this was how they watched it for the very first time, but there's just too much missing here. It's almost a sin to cut parts of this match out. Austin says it was a hard day at the office, but he never gave up. Stone Cold didn't lose at WrestleMania 13, and his performance that night rightfully led to a shot at the WWF Championship in the near future. Really, the only criticism I have of this video is the fact that so much of it was taken up by the Mania 13 match. Don't get me wrong, it's one of my favourite matches of all time, but if they were just going to show highlights and not the full match, then it should have been very short and not an abridged version of the whole bout. It kind of feels like they were padding things out just to reach the 60-minute runtime. There's 3 parts of the video left. The next part's all about the Bret Hart vs Steve Austin street fight on Raw that happened after the Revenge of the Taker pay-per-view. If you remember back to Revenge of the Taker, Bret and Austin had a match and the Hart Foundation interfered. So the next night, Austin didn't want to wrestle Bret again, he wanted to fight Bret. Stone Cold went backstage looking for the Hitman. He tried to bust down Bret's locker room door to get what he wanted, and in the end, Stone Cold was able to put the Hitman in an ambulance where the beating continued. That was such a good episode of Raw. We then take a brief look at the Cold Day in Hell Austin vs Undertaker match. Stone Cold said he would have won the match if Brian Pillman didn't jump the guardrail and ring the timekeeper's bell. And Austin also says he'd love to relive that Cold Day in Hell main event one day in the future because Austin knows he can beat the Undertaker. Austin and Undertaker would meet again on pay-per-view. It happened at SummerSlam 1998, and you can check out the Reliving the War review of SummerSlam on the channel right now, funnily enough. The video then wraps up with Steve Austin and Shawn Michaels winning winning the tag team championships. Austin explains that he won the match by himself, and we then see clips of Austin versus HBK at the King of the Ring. Austin then says if you still don't know what Austin 316 means, then you're even dumber than Stone Cold originally thought. The credits roll as Stone Cold's theme music plays in the background, and check it out. Austin wrote, directed and produced this whole presentation by himself. He didn't need a hairstylist by the looks of things, and he also beat up the poor gaffer. All in all, it's a great presentation, and as mentioned, it does hold up well today. Sure, some of the background music is a bit out of place and the match edits are questionable, but you do get a good dose of that 1997 Stone Cold Steve Austin that was so endearing and so fun to watch. So this gets a big thumbs up, and the folks at WWE Network get a big thumbs down for not including this on their service. Something I did notice about this DVD re-release though, the original had quite a lot from the Pillman's Got a Gun segment, and in this version, most of it was cut out. I didn't know it was cut out before recording this, so apologies for that. We aren't done yet. There's another Austin tape I want to check out in today's video, and that's Austin 316 Uncensored, the direct follow-up to 'Cause Stone Cold Said So. The original video was legendary. It sold like hotcakes, just like the classic Austin 316 shirt, so a follow-up was inevitable. This one more or less picks up where the last video left off, and the uncensored part of the video title gets confirmed within the first minute of the presentation.
After giving a description of Steve Austin, what would you suggest I say?
Bad motherfucker.
An intro video featuring Steve Austin footage along with the Thorn in Your Eye song, most commonly associated with Raw's War, plays to kick off the VHS. Jim Ross then explains that this is going to be a candid 1 hour show that won't be suitable for all members of the family, and Jim Ross then sits down with Austin inside an empty arena to conduct an interview. This interview footage is used throughout most of the video, so it's not Austin hosting the presentation this time around, and I think that's a shame really. We see the Owen Hart piledriver at SummerSlam 1997, and Austin says he feels good, but he'll never be the same again. He'll never be 100%. He was told he wouldn't be able to wrestle again, but Stone Cold's the toughest SOB in the WWF, and that's not just a nickname to market Steve Austin. Austin then credits Jim Ross for the Texas Rattlesnake nickname. He says he knew he had to pay his dues in the WWF before any big title opportunities came his way, and Austin felt he did just that throughout 1996 and 1997. It's all about making a name for yourself and making people take notice. Footage is then shown of Austin trash-talking guys like The Rock and Vince McMahon. If you're following along right now with Reliving the War, then all this footage and these images will look very familiar. And just like that, we move straight into the 1998 Royal Rumble. Austin's IC title run, as short as it was, does not get covered in this video at all. So the main focus of this one is Austin's journey to WrestleMania 14. Austin attacking the boys backstage on Raw gets covered in a highlight video that the producers have named Pulp Austin. Absolutely unnecessary, but there you go. Mike Tyson shown cheering along as Steve Austin wins the Royal Rumble match, and Austin explains that this was a do or die moment for him. After coming back from the injury, Austin had to prove he could still be a main event player in WWF, and he wasn't about to let his spot go to someone else. Footage from Raw the next night's then shown Austin shoving Mike Tyson in the middle of a WWF ring. Austin says his promo was completely ad-libbed here. He's kinda kayfabing the interview in places and talking real in other parts, so yeah, I think it works better when he's completely in gimmick, to be honest. But anyway, Austin says there was no one holding Tyson back, so if Mike really wanted to fight, he could have came after Stone Cold. Austin doesn't regret what he did this night, and as a matter of fact, it sounds like he had a lot of fun. The video then focuses on Shawn Michaels. First, we get DX's failed attempt to get a Tyson vs Austin match booked for WrestleMania. We get that very good face-to-face Austin promo that happened immediately afterwards, and Austin then talks about Michaels shoving the WWF title in his face while Stone Cold was tied up in the ropes. Austin said this was a big mistake on HBK's part. When Shawn said Austin will never be champion, Stone Cold made it his mission to win the belt at WrestleMania, so Shawn sealed his own fate that night on Raw's War. Footage from the WrestleMania press conference is then shown, but we saw more of this on Raw, to be fair. And then Austin makes some very interesting comments about Shawn Michaels missing the 8-man tag main event at No Way Out just before WrestleMania. Basically, Stone Cold said it was bullshit. In this line of work, you go out there and you deal with the pain, you suck it up and go. Austin says a lot of fans paid to see Michaels in the main event, and those fans didn't get what they paid for. And Austin repeats again that Michaels' decision not to wrestle at No Way Out was bullshit. Stone Cold says he had a lot of fun at No Way Out though. He says Chyna's tough, and even though Austin tried to be a gentleman, he was lured back into the ring when Chyna flipped him off after the match, and Stone Cold had no choice but to hit her with a stunner. Austin says he'd do it again too. Jim Ross then asks Austin about his entrance walk. Stone Cold doesn't walk around like that backstage, so JR wants to know what the deal is. Austin says this is his BMF walk. He confirms what BMF stands for, and he says he walks like this to intimidate his opponents and show that he's not afraid. When the glass shatters, business picks up. The journey to Mania 14 continues on, and Austin says Mike Tyson joining DX was a distraction. Ross reminds Austin that it was around this time when Vince McMahon said he didn't want Austin to be WWF champion, and Stone Cold says this was more of a motivator in comparison to the Tyson distraction. WrestleMania 14 gets covered next, and unfortunately the rest of the video doesn't have all that much interview footage or interview audio. You do get sound bites and some brief comments, but there's nothing really substantial left, and that's a shame. We see Austin winning the belt. He mentions HBK saying in a previous promo that the Heartbreak Kid lays down for nobody, and this motivated Austin to beat Shawn's ass at WrestleMania. The game plan went out the window, and all Austin had to do was beat his opponent up, and that's exactly what he did. Footage of the post-WrestleMania press conference is then shown, with Austin saying he won't be molded and he won't change just because he's WWF champion. So, of course, Vince McMahon told Austin he had to change the next night on Raw so the WWF could have a champion they could be proud of. The boss ended up taking a stunner, so Stone Cold got sent to jail. Austin came back the next week in a suit. Fans thought Stone Cold had gone corporate, but of course the rattlesnake was just screwing McMahon around. From here, we go to the infamous Austin vs McMahon Raw main event that was ruined by Dude Love, and then we get highlights of Dude Love vs Steve Austin at the Unforgiven pay-per-view. Stone Cold says McMahon won't take the belt off him without a fight, and it does feel like we're just rushing along now until the end of the video. Austin's commentary just isn't as plentiful here, and it kinda turns into a highlight reel from WrestleMania up until the Unforgiven main event. The tape ends with Austin admitting he's not for everyone, but he's true to himself. He doesn't pretend to be something he's not, and that means a lot to Stone Cold personally. Jim asks Austin what is it that he loves and what is it that keeps him going, and Austin says work. He loves coming into work, he likes to hunt, he likes to drink. It's nothing fancy, but it's what keeps Stone Cold going. Austin came back from injuries, he almost broke his neck, he came back and he won the WWF Championship, so Austin isn't afraid to bust his ass. Austin didn't want to be in the first or second match every single night of the week. He worked to get where he's at now, and in regards to his career up until this point, Stone Cold says he wouldn't change a thing. Hopefully you enjoyed this look back at these classic Stone Cold tapes. I have a lot more nostalgia for the first video, but put both together and you do get a pretty decent look at Austin's rise to the top in WWF if you don't care too much about watching full matches. There's another few Austin tapes we can look at in the future. There's Austin vs McMahon, and there's also the Hell Yeah tape that I haven't seen before, so that one could be worth a watch. Let me know if you had these tapes, let me know your memories of the videos. If there's any other VHS releases you'd like covered on the channel, then do let me know too. And please remember to subscribe and like the video if you enjoyed it, it helps me out a lot. Thanks for watching everyone, and take care.